Hello, everyone. This is Kiss My Mic, and welcome to another episode of my podcast. In today's episode, I want to talk about Pope Francis, who just passed away recently. And specifically for this podcast, I want to talk about my reflections as a Filipino who grew up Catholic and also an LGBTQ. To be honest, where I am right now in terms of my faith, it's kind of one of those things in between. It's like one of those unknown things. There's a part of me that really wanted to, be a Christian because fundamentally, I believe in the teachings of Christ. And what I mean by the teachings of Christ is really the positive teachings that talk about love, acceptance, compassion, and non-judgment. But as we all know, because religion is such a complicated organization that's been around for hundreds of years and there's many different influences from different people, there's other elements too that's out there that are not love and compassion. Particularly, I'm talking about judgment towards LGBTQ in particular. Overall, just to kick this off, I just want to talk about, my overall impression of Pope Francis. To me, I feel like he's done such a good job towards bringing inclusivity to LGBTQ people. There's been a couple of things that we've witnessed that I would say we've never seen before in the Catholic Church. All in all, I know that based on some of the news and some of the coverages in the past decade or so, that Pope Francis has really made some actions that appear to be inclusive towards LGBTQs. One of the most famous milestones I would say is his 2013 quote that says, "Who am I to judge?" And let me just kind of read a little bit about the context here. Who am I to judge? So this moment became iconic in 2013. This was during his first year as a pope. And Pope Francis was returning from a trip to Brazil when a journalist asked him about about a rumored gay lobby in the Vatican and the presence of gay clergy. And when he responded, "If someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge?" It was such a big departure from the stance of the Catholic Church under the previous Pope, which was Pope Benedict. Was very traditional, that he was one of those voices that basically talk about homosexuality is a sin. So to me, there's a big difference between sort of the message that was propagated by Pope Benedict that was really dismissive and not inclusive versus what Pope Francis tried to do during his, reign as the Pope. So to me, that's really was a positive thing. Even though in terms of the actual church doctrine, that there weren't a lot of changes that were instituted during Pope Francis, I thought that, his message was able to change some behavior. And to me, changing behavior is maybe the first step. And then, it could be the changes in actual doctrine that could happen next. But we never know now. So aside from that moment in 2013, there were also other actions that Pope Francis did during his term as Pope. He met with trans people. He engaged in a dialogue. He listened to their stories. And to me, that's also another first step in terms of really towards understanding, what people are going through. And then there were other things also in terms of this had something to do with admitting gay priests. This is where I saw that his stance has evolved a bit. In 2018, he reaffirmed the church stance that those who practice sexuality or show deep-seated homosexual tendencies should not be admitted to the priesthood. But he also noted the need for discernment and mentioned that there are already many gay priests serving faithfully. In 2023, he met with LGBTQ groups and told them, The church is mother and calls together all her children. This wasn't a doctrinal shift, but again, it reflected a more welcoming tone which contrasts with outright exclusion or condemnation. This one is a little bit more complicated, because the church technically still bans gay men from entering seminaries, especially if they quote unquote practice homosexuality. His view is a little bit more nuanced. I think overall, he's really paved for a more inclusive community, a more inclusive church for LGBTQs. To close out this episode, I just want to talk about my reflections. Number one, I want to just recognize the fact that Pope Francis has done good things for LGBTQ people, particularly from the perspective of bringing LGBTQs back in. Because a lot of people, a lot of LGBTQ, including myself, because of those messages from before, if you're constantly being, attacked, if you're constantly being reminded of, your lifestyle as a sin, and you're just, trying to live your life and this is how you are, I think it's just, so difficult. So secondly, in terms of my reflection is what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? The next steps. The movie Conclave, which actually was one of my favorites from last year, is just so timely because now we're witnessing an actual conclave that's about to happen, and they're gonna find a new pope. And there's been many talks about who's possibly in the contention. I will post another episode to talk about my thoughts on that. But what I hope to see in the next pope is to continue the trajectory that Pope Francis has done during the past decade to reach out to more LGBTQs, to really be more inclusive and hopefully pave way so that people like myself who wanted to practice Christianity, who wants to be Christians, who want to just live our lives, can find a community, can feel accepted. That's ultimately what we want. We want to be accepted. But here's the thing, as I am reflecting on this, I realize that what I'm searching for and what we really should be searching for is acceptance from God ultimately. The problem is sometimes we seek the acceptance of God from the people. And oftentimes the people that are part of the church are not very accepting. It's like they are acting the gatekeepers. They are the ones saying, no, you cannot be back. God will not accept you. God will not save you or things like that because you're a sinner, because you're a gay. But why are we allowing people to tell us what God will do or not do? Because ultimately, it's God that will judge us in the end, right? So why are we allowing people to interpret what God will do? I think that, to me, is the message. I think, to me, the way I see it is, a Bible is really written by men. There's a lot of inconsistencies. To me, I think there are parts of the Bible I would focus more on the message of love, compassion, acceptance, inclusivity, and really live your life based on those principles. And there are others that, are hurtful and dismissive and judgmental and all that. So yeah, I think I just want to end this episode by saying that ultimately we have to find a way to connect to God if that's what you want. And sometimes it can happen through connecting, by connecting through church. But sometimes it may not happen that way because there are people out there that are making it difficult for you to connect, to reach God. Maybe there are other ways to reach Him directly by living your life and really adhering to those principles of goodness and love and compassion. So that's all I have today. This is just my reflection on Pope Francis, his legacy, and what he's done to the LGBTQ community, and what I'm looking to see in the next Pope. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And please feel free to like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments as well. All right. Have a nice day. Bye.